meeting is being held. This meeting is being held virtually, with some or all meeting participants attending via electronic or other communication facilities. A. Committee members will be involved in and participate in the meeting. B. Committee members will raise their hands to advise the chair they wish to speak. The chair will record the order in which the hands are raised and will allow the committee members to speak in the order in which they are recorded. If committee members are unable to raise their hands due to being in audio mode, they will verbally advise the chair of their intention to speak. C. All meeting attendees should remain muted when not speaking. D. With respect to a vote, committee members are only required to state a nay vote, i.e. members are not required to voice a yay vote. E. Committee members attending the meeting are required to verbally advise the chair or staff liaison if they leave the meeting and when they return to the meeting, so that this can be recorded in the minutes of the meeting. F. Committee members will email the staff liaison if they have a technical difficulty with their connection and need to be reconnected to the meeting. G. If a technical difficulty occurs resulting in the meeting not being projected on the wall display in the SLRD boardroom, the meeting will be recessed until the projection is reestablished. H. If a technical difficulty occurs and it becomes apparent that a committee member has become disconnected from the meeting and the meeting's quorum is not maintained, the meeting will be recessed until the committee member returns to the meeting. I. Committee members who are attending electronically and declare a conflict of interest in respect of an agenda item will be placed in the virtual waiting room by the staff liaison while the committee considers the agenda item. J. Committee members who are present within the virtual waiting room are asked to stay at their computer or otherwise remain present and connected to their computer so as to not miss their readmittance into the virtual meeting room following consideration of the agenda item. All right, and then our first agenda item. Okay, so we need to go over the agenda. So has everyone had a chance to review the agenda? Yeah. Can we have someone make a motion to approve the agenda? Anna? And Kevin's gonna second it?
Yep, sorry, I was on mute.
All right, so we've got all those against. All right, I guess that is passed. The agenda is passed. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from the February meeting? This was the meeting that was held to discuss the RVs and such. Yeah, did anyone notice anything in there that, Elliot, did you notice something that needed to be addressed from that?
No, I didn't. I just said I approve to move forward on that one, what we've discussed. Yep.
Sounds good. So can someone, so Elliot, we can say you're making a motion for that to go ahead, and can someone second that? Michelle? All right. All those against? I see no hands raised. So that is passed. And then review and approval of the minutes from the May meeting. Has everyone had a chance to look that over? Yeah, I did notice a spelling mistake. In 6.1, if you scroll down through the kind of the items that's on the second page of 6.1, it says AK noted that there is a fine as well, and so that's spelled wrong. It's not, it's just FIN, not FINE. Did you find that one, Claire?
Recording in progress.
All right, Trish, can you put yourself on mute?
Yes.
All right. Did anyone else notice anything? All right, can we have someone make a motion to approve the minutes from May 23rd? Russell Mack. And can someone move to second that? Anna? All right. All those opposed? I don't see any hands raised, so that is also passed. All right, so we can move on to our second point, which is the discussion on North Arm Farm Lounge expansion, the zoning amendment application. So Trish is going to go in that waiting room. Claire can do that for us. And we'll call you back to the meeting when we are finished discussing that. All right, Trish? Sounds good.
I'm just trying to figure this out because I haven't done that before. Let's see
Okay.
if I can. Oh, how do I do that? Let's see. I don't know if that was it. I just put it on hold. Sorry, guys. I've never done this before. See if this works.
Perfect.
Thanks for your patience. And if it's of interest to the committee, I could give a quick overview of the staff report, relevant and specifically relevant portions that are applicable to, say, ALR considerations and whatnot. And then happy to turn it over to the committee for discussion. Does that sound reasonable?
Yep, that sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome. So just to highlight, like, we're bringing this to the AAC. As per the Area C AAC terms of reference, the board typically refers applications to amend OCPs or zoning bylaws that affect agriculture lands and the agriculture land reserve, or implications for the agriculture sector in general, to this committee. We really value the input of our AACs. And further, the request is for the Area C AAC to review and provide input to the board on the North Arm Farm Brewery Food and Beverage Lounge GFA expansion zoning amendment application. That's what we are focused on here. A really brief overview of the application. Essentially, SOD received a zoning amendment application from North Arm Farm to increase the gross floor area of the food and beverage service land associated with the brewery. This would be a site-specific text amendment, so the zone would stay agriculture. We would just have a text-specific amendment to allow for the increase in food and beverage service lounge, and that would be to the 125 meters indoor and 125 meters outdoor, which is as per the maximum set by the agriculture land reserve. And just to note that the current Area C zoning bylaw provides for 60 meters squared of indoor gross floor area and 60 meters squared of outdoor gross floor area. North Arm Farm holds a brewery manufacturer license, so this would be the intention is to build the food and beverage service lounge associated with this brewery use. And the just to note too that a geotechnical report was submitted with the application confirming the site is safe for intended use. The other pieces I thought I would highlight for the committee that was in the staff report really pertain to the Pemberton Valley Agriculture Plan, which I know the committee is familiar with. Staff highlighted goal 5 being improve the economic viability of the farming. as sort of where this zoning amendment sort of connects to. We also note that goal 2, develop mechanisms to maintain the agricultural land base for working agriculture. For working agriculture, that is part of the intention of that 60 meters squared was to be able to ensure that we have an agricultural land base for working agriculture. And that said, we have the ability to look at these on a case-by-case basis through the zoning amendment application, specifically looking at parcel size, and that relates to the next piece around parking requirements. The application, there's a requirement for 80 parking stalls under the zoning, and these are already in place or can be provided for within the existing parking footprint. So that was sort of important for staff to see. And the other piece I wanted to highlight that pertains to the ALR use regulation, but more specifically the ALC policies, and specifically this piece around parcel size. So the ALC has a policy around farm-related commercial and farm-related industrial uses. And basically it sets out parcel coverage or recommendations around lot coverage and any of these types of uses that are being called farm-related commercial. So brewery would fall into that, and the subject parcel being 21.5 hectares in size. The 5% lot coverage limit is 1.08 hectares. So the proposed expansion from 125 meters to 250 meters remains within the lot coverage limits for farm-related commercial and farm-related industrial uses. And so those are really the aspects that I wanted to highlight for the committee. And I'll turn it back over to the committee and happy to answer any technical questions the committee may have. Thanks.
Thanks, Claire. All right, does anybody have anything that they would like to discuss or questions that they would like to ask?
Yeah, Chair, Russell. Yeah, I support this application. I think it's just the right thing to do to maintain the status of the farm and make sure there's enough money going forward to keep the farm viable. And it does meet all the ALC requirements at this time. So, and I think that's something that we have to look at that 60 meter times 2 that we have. We should just be following the ALC regulations, not making our own on top of more. So anyways, I'm fully in support of this application, and hopefully somebody else will have something to say too. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Russell. Anna, I saw your hand come up.
Hi, yeah, thanks. Can I just clarify, Claire, that staff, I think I read it right, that staff actually supports this application? Is that what that report is saying? Like it checks all, it seems to check all the boxes. Did I read it right? I just want to be clear.
Yeah, so through the chair, the staff recommended waiver. So the first step was waiving the public hearing. And essentially we have where an application is consistent with the official community plan, we can waive the public hearing. So that's the first step. And then the second step is sort of first and second reading, which will be coming after this AAC meeting. But yes, staff will be recommending first and second reading. And from the analysis, and that recommendation, I should say, is based on the analysis of the application in relation to the SOD zoning, OCP, and ag plans, as well as the ALC regulations and policies.
Okay, great. I sure support this one. I do think that you should keep the 60 ongoing so that it can be checked. Like in this case, it's a pretty important farm in the valley and for lots of reasons. So it certainly I certainly support it. But I think the 61 is good to have there just as a check.
Okay, thank you, Anna. Kevin?
Oh, I guess I would just echo what Director Mack said. I am fully in support of this. I also want to be on the record as stating that I do not think that the regional district should have superseding size limits on agricultural land. The Agricultural Land Commission is set up to do exactly that. So when you have an entity that has different interests, that I think the governing body should be the Agricultural Land Commission. That's semantics, I know, but I just want to say I think this is important, and the math on 60 meters, you wouldn't build it, you couldn't recoup your costs. I can see Anna's rationale there for sure. I just think the square meters are so small that 125 is probably even pushing the limit of what you could build and recoup your costs from today. We're just not taking into account the cost of providing services today. So I'm in favor, and that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Michelle or Elliot, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I do. I'm totally in favor of this. In reading it, I see no problem. Their parking is adequate for what they want to build, and that the building that they're building is within the farm plate, so even as the larger square footage. So I'm all for it. I have no problem with it at all.
Okay, thank you. Elliot, would you like to comment?
Yeah, I'm all for it as well. Everything looks good to me. Yeah, I think it'd be good for the valley.
Okay, thank you, Elliot. Would someone like to just put together a little motion that we'd like to support the proposed lounge expansion? Russell? Sorry, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'd like to motion forward that we pass this resolution or this application and move it forward to the board for second and third reading.
Okay, thank you. Can someone second that?
I can second it.
All right, thank you, Kevin. All those against? Seeing no hands, the expansion application has been passed. All right, so you can let Trish back into the room. Hi, Trish. All right, so we're moving on to the other items now. I think we were going to talk about having meetings either hybrid or in person. Kevin brought this up, so maybe I'll let him just say his overview to everybody. I think Conley's the only, Conley and Claire didn't see it necessarily.
Yeah, I just sent an email through the chair asking for those who want to attend in person to have an avenue to do so. I do understand that people do live far away and it's a big area, but I do, having gone through board meetings for the last couple of years with virtual, I think there's something missing in the interactions and the nuanced discussions you have around them. I wanted to highlight that Zoom itself is demanding all their employees go back to work. So even if they can't make it work, then I don't think that, there should at least be an option. And I just think that when we're talking about people's livelihoods and making these types of decisions, that when you're all in a room and you make the effort to get in your car and drive there, you might, I just feel like it makes me get in the mindset and the mood and to take it quite seriously, as we should. But I do understand that people do live in different areas and have different schedules and stuff, but I just think an option to have those who want to attend in person should be there.
Yeah, Chair, could I add to
Yes,
that?
go ahead, Russell.
Yeah, I think that it's really important for as many people to get in the same room and discuss things as possible. The 2 years we were away with the COVID, I know from our board meetings in person to our board meetings virtually, you're definitely losing something like the personal contact and all that. So I think it's very important to have it in person as much as possible. And like Kevin says, I understand this is a big area, and you know we all live a distance away, but for the 1 month or one meeting a month or one meeting every 2 months, I think we could certainly make it. And I think it should be at the chair's discretion too. Like if it's in the middle of winter and we're having a snowstorm, you know, you could call an audible on it and go to that virtual so that we don't lose a meeting. But I just think that it's important to talk together, you know, in person. Anyways, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Russell. Michelle?
I agree with Kevin. I personally don't really like the Zoom meetings. I really like to see people and have a conversation as opposed to just taking turns speaking on a screen. I feel like you get a little bit more of a feel for what people are thinking and what people are truly wanting to say when you're in person as opposed to just on a screen in their office or their living room.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Does anyone else want to say anything? Anna?
I understand the points from people agreeing, but I have to say that this meeting is a good example of one that seems to work online, maybe because it was an uncontentious issue. We could maybe test with something really spicy and see how it goes. But it seemed to I don't know, it works for me. I really like meeting online. I feel like it's way more accessible. We're not making huge decisions in this board. This is an advisory board, and the actual board doesn't even have to listen to us. So we're not really you know, it's not that big a deal what we're doing. And so I like the Zoom, and I did not like the hybrid meeting last time because it just was really distracting. I don't know if it was my computer or not, but the feed from the SLAD office was just all over the place, and it just didn't work for me at all. I like this.
Okay, thank you, Anna. Claire?
Hi, thank you, and really appreciate everyone's perspectives and input on this. I wanted to add a little bit of a staff context here, and the minutes will be taken, they'll go to the board, and it's really kind of up to, I would say probably the board and higher levels up than me. But one thing we ran into specifically with this meeting, and why I'm here and not Brenda too, we do have, like so many organizations right now, staffing constraints. And sometimes we opt for virtual meetings because we can hold them in more of an expedient fashion. For this example, we would have had to wait another month to have a committee meeting if we were going to be doing it in person, as we're required to have 2 staff people at the SRD office to hold in-person meetings. Not to say that we can't hold in-person meetings in the future. I just wanted to provide some context that sometimes having that virtual option allows us to sort of reflect some of the other constraints within our organization, also not hold development applications up by having to wait until we have enough staff to hold in-person meetings. So that was one consideration for the format of this meeting. I just wanted to share that with the committee. And the other piece, I live in Pemberton, so I can be at the SRD office. We do have staff that don't live in Pemberton or don't live within the regional district in general. So that sometimes becomes an issue for in-person meetings as well. So just some other pieces to add to the discussion on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Claire. Elliot or Trish, would you like to add anything? No? Trish, go ahead. All right, Trish is having some difficulty, it looks like. Maybe you can type it into the chat box and we can see it. Is that possible, Claire? Yeah. So if you can access the chat, maybe you can do that, Trish. Maybe I'll just share my thoughts. I personally like the Zoom meetings. I feel like it's accessible for a lot of people, and like Anna mentioned, I just feel like it's a little bit less crazy than having the hybrid meetings. I feel like there's less emotion, and I think that it does lead us to have less spicy meetings, as Anna put it. And I think that that's a good thing, because as she noted, we are just here to provide our opinions and our input. We don't work together. We're trying to come up with the consensus to give to the board so that they can move on with their options. And so I kind of feel like it's not necessary for us to be a team. And I think that just because we're on Zoom doesn't mean that it's not important and we're not taking it seriously. You know, I prepare for all of my meetings, and I feel like if I would be running to that meeting, like today, if I'd done this meeting in person, I would have both of my kids in the car, because I'm a single mom 4 days a week and I live half an hour from town and they have all of their activities. And so for me to do this, Zoom is a possibility, and in person is exceedingly difficult. I mean, I would make it work, but my kids would always be behind me. So that's just my opinion. I think Trish is back on now, so she can she can share her thoughts.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm totally in support of in-person meetings. I always have issues, technical issues at my computer here, and I just feel it just really hampers conversation. So I would be in support of in-person meetings or hybrid. And I think if we did a few more, we could make it run a little smoother, the hybrid. It just gives more people access.
All right. That sounds good. Thank you. All right. Would someone like to make up, unless Elliot, you do want to say something?
Well, I'm good. I also live about 45 minutes out of town, so it's a big haul because I work in town every day. Got to come back home, and then I would have to go back out there. So it's quite a mission. But that doesn't mean I couldn't plan to be in town. I do like the idea of meeting everybody in person and getting to know each other. Definitely will take an edge off of me because I'm a little bit awkward on these Zoom calls. Can't really be myself and express myself and really what I'm feeling and thinking. But I think in the time being, for what we're doing here, just giving opinion, it's a good option to be able to just do it on Zoom. Yeah, that's about it.
Great. Thank you, Elliot. All right. Would someone like to make a proposal that we would share with? I'm not sure if this would go to the area directors or if it goes straight to the board. If it's even possible, Claire, or if we need to do that. I'm not sure how we proceed with this.
Sure, and it's sort of up to the committee, if they'd like to provide input on this item, and the input would go through to the board, as part of the minutes, package. So, that's how we could provide the input back to the board, and from a staff level, we would also be bringing some of this input, just to general discussions. We're kind of working through some of these concepts in relation to the public hearings and whatnot as well. So we're kind of, trying to figure out this transition space. I don't know if any of us have a perfect solution at this point in time, but happy to bring the committee's input back at the staff and board level.
Okay, so do we need to make a motion, or do we? Because there are definitely people who are for it and people who are not. So do we need to show that, or do we just?
Yeah, I through the chair, I'd leave it to the committee. If it's feeling important to have a motion on this, you can try and put a motion forward. The other could be, is there some sort of process that we can put in place that we are kind of checking in based on what we need to discuss, what type of meeting format we want to have, or maybe there's some sort of process that we bring in when we're scheduling meetings. That's something we could consider. And if we want to do hybrid meetings, we will have to figure out bringing some resources on to do that. I don't know that just the planning department alone will be able to support that, just because there's sort of all the technology side of supporting.
Okay. I feel like most of our meetings, since I joined the AAC, they've all been very quick meetings. It's just been like yes or no. There's, with the exception of like 1 or 2 meetings in the last 3 years, everything has been really fast. And I feel like, well, I'm not going to be pushing this to go ahead. But if somebody's really wants it to, then you can make a motion. Like all of our meetings have been under an hour, so.
Chair?
Yeah. Russell?
I think what we should do, just based on everybody's input at the moment, is just put a pause on this, and we can have a discussion with Claire and we have an EAD meeting tomorrow. I can bring it up there just for reference and just see what people think and how we should respond. And maybe, we just carry on as is, because I do understand what Claire is saying with our planning staff. She's the only one that lives in the proximity of the regional district. Everybody else is all over the country. So that's a challenge for sure. So I think we should just, give her all the help we can do for her putting these meetings on and go from there. This meeting turned out really well. We did, it wasn't, it was well thought and all that stuff. So I think it's just, we'll carry on the way we are, and I'll bring it up at our EAD meeting tomorrow and just get some feedback from the other 3 directors and see what they think, their thoughts are.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, Russell. And Elliot put in the chat that maybe we should all just go for coffee, which is a good point. If we want to get to know each other and get to, yes, we could all go to North Arm Farm, Anna. So that's the thing. Like when we're in a meeting, they're definitely expedited. When we're in Zoom and we're just getting everything done. All right. So do we have any other items that we need to talk about? Unless someone really wants to push that. Michelle, Trish, I saw Kevin supporting Russell, so. Yeah. Okay. Are there any other items that anyone would like to bring up? I don't see anybody. Are there any other items that someone would like to bring up? All right, seeing none, let's move on to the next steps and close of meeting. What do we need to be thinking about for our next steps, Claire?
Through the chair, I don't have any specific next steps. The minutes that were approved by the committee, those are sort of all finalized now. The minutes from this meeting will be going to the next board. And the input specific to the North Arm Farm application will be included in the next when the next report goes to the board on that zoning amendment application. So that'll be the October board. So the input, that's where the input will be going, and really appreciate everyone's time and input as a staff person working on that. We do really look to our AACs when we have zoning applications in the ALR. It's really important to get input from the farming community. So thank you for that.
Okay. Thanks, Claire. I think that that's everything. So if someone can just move to adjourn the meeting, I think we need to do that. Russell, and someone second it. Kevin, perfect. That's great. So the meeting is adjourned at 6:39. Then everybody have a nice evening. Thank you for attending.
Thank you.
Claire,
See
can
you.
Everybody.
Claire, can I just mention something to you that I noticed?
Absolutely.
Just in the application for the thing, it just said that the application was for electoral area D rather than electoral area C. Did you see that?
We did see that too,
Okay.
but it was already out exactly. So we'll correct that for the next go around. Thank you.
Perfect. You're welcome. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.